It's a blessing that I'm here, I'm alive. No, I never ever have to cry, cause it's something I know will always work for me on my side. Not a thing I even have to fight, all things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the love come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires. Sharing the truth that inspires. Sharing the truth that inspires. All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the joy come alive. Watch the joy. Sharing the truth that inspires.
Inspired to love, inspired to grow, inspired to heal, inspired to live. Simply Tammy.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Simply Tammy. I'm back to you again this week. But for what I'm usually for the week, I was before some of you on Tuesday night doing a brand interview, but I am back on our regular night for Women Who Win. And as always, I want to thank you guys for supporting, for joining us. So for those of you who join me on a regular basis or have joined before, you know our routine. Go ahead and jump in the comments, say hello, let me know where you're connecting from. If you'd like, the location is not mandatory, but I really would like for you to say hello to us. While you're doing that, if you are watching me on Facebook, hopefully you have already liked and or followed the Simply Tammy page. While you're doing that, go ahead and like or love this broadcast and then share it as it says going across the bottom of the screen, because it helps us spread these positive messages that we get from our guests on the Women Who Win podcast. And then also, you know, my weekly announcement. We have a YouTube channel. Some of you may be watching us live on YouTube right now. So please, please, please subscribe to the Simply Tammy YouTube channel. We have other content out there other than the Women Who Win interviews and have some other things coming up. So thank you for your support from both of those mediums. I am, as always, so very excited to be able to bring women before you who are willing to be transparent about their stories, their challenges, their triumphs, so that we can, as the intro song says, share truths that inspire. And I have a very special guest tonight, all the way from the West Coast. So I am excited to bring her before your front. So I am not going to delay. Those of you that have already jumped in the comments, I am going to acknowledge you once I bring my guest on. So thank you guys for saying hello. I can see that we have some comments and I cannot wait to say hi to you once we jump in the comments, or once I bring my guest on the screen, and then we'll acknowledge the comments. So let me go ahead and bring up her graphics so I can read a brief portion of her bio and bring her in. Being a Southwest Fresno native, LaTisha Harris has seen the good, the bad, and ugly while actively working to improve her community. Being a pastor's daughter and granddaughter, it was instilled in her at an early age the importance of serving her community while advocating for those in need. After receiving a bachelor's degree in social work with an emphasis in child welfare from California State University in Fresno, LaTisha has served at various nonprofits in the Central Valley, empowering and advocating for people of color in disadvantaged communities. LaTisha has seen firsthand the disparities that communities of color face, but she refuses to give up the fight and will continue to be the voice for those that are often forgot about. LaTisha actively serves at her local church as administrator and executive pastor. With all of her accomplishments, her greatest passion is being a mother to three gifted and talented blessings, her children, Jeremiah, Samara, and Duran. LaTisha is committed to finding the need and meeting it, finding the hurt and healing it. Her objective is to complete the God-ordained assignment on her life while serving people in her community with a sincere and Christ-centered heart. So without further ado, good evening, good evening, good evening.
Hello, Miss Tammy. Hello.
Hello, hello, and welcome and welcome. So,
Thank you for having me.
you are most welcome, and thank you for saying yes. I always like to mention or give a backstory if there is one, as far as how I have met my guests, and LaTisha is another person I have not met in person, but she comes highly recommended from another West Coast sister of mine that I interviewed a few months back. If you guys remember the interview I did with Reese Sky, so Reese tagged her on IG one day and was like, sis, you need to talk to her. So as I was scheduling this round, she came to mind, and I was so glad that she was available to say yes. So thank you again. We
Thank you.
got some people I always like to acknowledge in the comments. My sis Tramika MJ, hello, good evening. I see that you were having some video issues, but you can see us now, MJ. Miko is watching us on YouTube, as well as another friend, Benora, is watching on YouTube. My sis down in Atlanta, Cheryl, is watching. So thank you, ladies, for jumping in the comments. Thank you guys for sharing the broadcast. Thank you for supporting. So, Miss LaTisha, I want to start off with where you started your bio with, that you were both your parents and grandparents were pastors. And
Yes.
oftentimes that, depending on the upbringing and the strictness of the organization that we were brought up in, that could either have a positive impact or a we run in the other direction impact. So how seeing that you're an executive pastor, I see that it stuck, but how has that had an impact, or how did that have an impact on the career that you have chosen? How did your upbringing in ministry impact who you decided to become?
My grandfather, again, like you said, was a pastor, and later on in life, my grandfather became ill and was no longer able to carry on the church, and so my father stepped into that role. My father did not grow up in church. Um, yeah, he did not grow up in church. He didn't have a church upbringing. He's actually from North Carolina, and so once he moved to California, he came to California to play basketball. Met my mother. The rest is history. I became the Sunday school super teacher, Sunday school superintendent, served on the, as a deacon, sang in the choir, did some of everything. But eventually he became a pastor. So growing up, my mother was very strict. There were a lot of things that we could not do, a lot of things that we did not understand. But then I had my father who kind of had that balance. Um, yeah, parents, yes, Tramika, parents and grandparents. Um, and so I kind of had that balance. So where I had my mom would say, "You got to be home by 10 o'clock," but Mom, I'm 18 and everybody's hanging out. What do you mean? I got my dad on the other hand saying, "I don't care how late you stay out, just so I know where you're at, just so I know who you're with, but make sure you're on time for Sunday school in the morning." So I literally had that balance. Church baby all the way. I think I laugh and joke sometimes and say I think I was raised on the pew. I was confused. I mean, I'm sorry,
Many of us know that
conceived on
life.
the. I think I was conceived on the pew because I don't know when did y'all have time to do something? You were always at church. But serving under my grandfather's tutelage, I began to do community outreach and host community events and like different outreach events. And I didn't quite know what a community organizer was then. And also my grandfather, I can take that. Let me go back a little bit. I digress. My grandfather and my parents as well would purchase homes and rent them out to people that could not always afford to pay rent. My
Mm.
grandmother would go on the weekends, and she called it the Sunshine Band. There was a vacant lot before they had moved a house onto one of their properties, and she would go out on Saturdays, feed the kids, play games with them, quote some scriptures, and then pray over them, and we would see them the next Saturday. And that's where I got a lot of the extended cousins and family from because of that weekend thing. So again, like I said, I had began doing community events. They taught me and instilled in me at a young age. the purpose of serving. Like that is what you're called to do. You're called to
Mhm.
serve. So I went to Fresno State, got a social work degree 2 weeks before graduation. No, it was about a month before graduation. A child was killed on my caseload. I did my internship at CPS, and that's when I realized I don't want to be a social worker at CPS. But I'm like less than a month from graduating. What do I do now?
Mhm.
But luckily, that was honestly, I say, a blessing in disguise. That was during the recession. So I did not get hired with the county because they went on a hiring freeze. And I ended up getting a job with a local union. And that is where they fine tune my skills for organizing, actually going into the community, having those conversations, making connections, and actually making change. So I think I've been an organizer fighting for rights because that's all I've ever known. I've seen it in an
Wow.
informal setting, and now I can put it in a formal setting and use it for God's glory.
Mm, good, good, good. So it's almost like it you didn't almost have a choice. It's like
Yeah, I didn't
you were
choose it. It
raised
chose
up
me.
in an environment of serving, and fortunately that is something that you enjoy doing since it came so naturally. Um, those of you that are in the comments, let me know how it sounds to you. It's a little muffled to me at intermittently. It's like when you touch your headset, it gets a little clear, but I mean, I can still understand you, so we can work through it. I just want to make sure that it's clear for those that are listening. So if you
I
guys,
have AirPods. I'm going to take them off so you guys can hear me better. Is that better?
say something again.
Better there.
Mm. So it said they said it sounds clear to them. So you can, yeah. It wasn't bad enough that I couldn't understand you. So yeah, and it sounded better with the AirPods. So
Okay.
okay. So yeah. Um just some of the comments. Her beautiful history really showcases how critical parents and family are to children's development and the initial. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. So, with how long is it now that you have been a community advocate, or you've been in the
But
sphere of being very active and advocating in your community?
say yes. About
I think we may have messed something up because the sound it's gotten worse. I'm sorry. I probably should have left you.
okay. Is that better? Is that better? Bad. Okay. I'm sorry. How about that?
That's good.
Is that better?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
That's
There we
perfect.
go. Okay.
Okay. Sorry guys. It was a little muffled to me at first and then whatever yeah, but you're perfectly clear now. So,
Okay.
um
Okay. So to answer your question, I started when I was about 18. So I've been in it about 20 years now, working in the community, helping to bring resources into in the community. And of course, in that 20 years, I have progressed. It always hasn't been community block parties, but in where we're offering resources. But in time, it's moved from advocating for environmental justice, helping with contract negotiations to make sure people are getting a fair wage and improving their working conditions. So over the 20 years, it has progressed. And I want to say hello to my aunt Irma, who has joined us all the way from North
okay.
Carolina.
Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, Miss Irma. So, with you having been in it so long, what is some of the most heartbreaking things that you have discovered as you have had to be the go-between many people in the community? What are some of the most heartbreaking disadvantages you've seen that we experience, or maybe a particular scenario or case that just kind of left a lasting impression on you?
One of the most monumental things for me. It was a very pivotal moment in my community organizing career. I was privy to sit at a table with some very prominent people in the valley. And I literally heard one of the developers of the city. If anybody knows anything about the city of Fresno, and it may be the same for your city, developers pretty much run the city. What they want is what they get. And so there was one particular neighborhood, one that I live in currently. It has the highest poverty concentration in the nation, one of the highest poverty concentrations in the nation, some of the highest asthma rates in the nation, as well as some of the highest pollution in the nation. Not just the state of California, but the nation. So all three of those combined together, the community is extremely, and especially the neighborhood is extremely disadvantaged, primarily people of color. But again, like I was saying, I was sitting at a table at an event, a prestigious event, and I heard the developer talk to one of the council members and say, I don't want the money for this to go to that neighborhood. I need you to redirect this money to the other side of town.
Oh,
And
wow.
just like that, the community, rather than being improved, remained neglected. Just that
Mm,
simple. Um, because of a simple conversation. So that was one of the conversations that was a pivotal moment for me in my community organizing career, because I
mhm.
felt like in that moment, no matter how much work I do, it felt like literally I'm fighting against something bigger than myself. And it became
Absolutely.
I began to feel defeated and deflated. Like, what am I
Mm,
doing this for? I'm not going to
mhm.
get anything out of this. We'll never win. We'll only be able to get so far. And the one scripture that I would have to continually tell myself, even today in those moments, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty
Yes,
to the pulling down of strongholds. So I'm
yes,
not going to fight this with you in the boardroom. I can't fight this with you in the city council meeting, but I know a God that will
yes,
get you
yes.
all the way together.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you walked away from that scenario and you were able to gather yourself and pull on the word of God, how did that transition how you moved in your career? Did you start trying to make different connections? You know, of course we know as Christians our number one strategy is prayer and what we do behind the scenes, but how did that impact how you moved out in front of people?
So I'm a hothead. Those that know me know I'm a hothead. So that, in essence, made me a contender when it came to contract negotiations. When I would
Mm,
negotiate contracts, that's one of the things that I did. Negotiate contracts for employees. So I'm not gonna let up easy. I'm not gonna let up easy. My workers are gonna get what they want and what they deserve, and you gonna give it to them. If that mean I
mm,
gotta fight. So I would always fight with my mouth, and I could cut you low. I know that. But I had to learn that no matter what you say, it means, because I would hear all the time, you speak with a level of authority. Okay, well, let me use it. But that wasn't necessarily going to be the best approach. So I had to learn to pray first. Pray before
mhm.
starting the campaign plan. Pray before going into the negotiations room. Pray before you even develop the proposals. Pray before you even meet with your team. Like, prayer had to become the first thing I did, not my last resort. Like, God, I'm in this mess. You see that they not moving. God, you better move on my behalf because I don't want to look stupid. No, I had to learn. I had to pray first. God, what is the strategy? How do you want me to take on this task? How do you want me to fight this issue? God, you see what they're doing. So how do you want me to handle it? Do you want me to even be quiet? Do you even want me to say something about it right now? Or do you want me to sit back and be quiet? That was one of the hardest things to learn, was to be how to be quiet, when to be quiet, that
Mhm.
I can't just say everything. That some battles have to be fought silently.
That is a powerful lesson. A
Yeah.
lesson that for those of us who like to be vocal or maybe tend to be vocal at the wrong times have to learn it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the flip side of that, what has been some of the most rewarding things you've experienced in your time as an advocate?
Some of the most rewarding things that I've experienced as an advocate, watching one of the mothers tell her story. I myself have live in one of the zip codes that I was talking about earlier. And I kept experiencing preterm labor. A lot of things in my community I thought were normal until I began to learn, no, that's not normal to have a factory down the street. It causes
Mm.
preterm labor. It causes preterm birth. It causes
Wow.
premature. It causes infant mortality. Like it causes other health issues. So I thought it was normal because that's what we grew up seeing in our community. It wasn't until I began to do research and take on another role in an environmental justice sector that I learned, no, this isn't normal, and my neighborhood is killing me. But then to empower and advocate other women, other mothers to begin to tell their story, not only share their story but fight for their rights, where they were able to actually develop a plan in the community that says, you know what, we're not going to have any more pollution, um, specifically put into this community. We're going to put a halt to it, and we're going to develop this particular neighborhood. So that
Oh,
is
wow.
one of my greatest accomplishments that is still going on, something that we're still working on in our spare time, when we have the time, because being a single mother, it takes a lot out of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and well, since you brought it up, we'll go ahead and go there. Being a single mother, um, that in and of itself has its own challenges, and there's outside of your career, there's other things that you have on your plate. How have you been able to manage, for lack of a better term, being, you know, what single mothers have to be all in all in the home, and yet still being so impactful in your community?
Child, listen, I'm still trying to figure that out. You want me to be transparent? I'm trying to figure that out. But I do. My children come first. I
Mhm.
remember when I took my first job out of college, I was living in a hotel 22 days out of the month. I would come home every other weekend. And so I missed a lot of precious time with my
Mhm.
children. I missed a lot of moments that I couldn't get back.
Mhm.
That's with my older two children. There's about a 9 year gap between my middle child and my youngest. So
Mhm.
now I can look at my children and say they come first. Like if I
Mhm.
got to take the day off of work, they come first. There are times that I have to say, no, I can't be a part of this because I
Mhm.
need to rest,
Mhm.
because you
Right.
guys will move on without me. You will replace me on this job if I fall out dead, and my children will be the ones that suffer.
That's so.
So my
Yeah.
children come first. And then I can't say that I'm doing it alone. Co-parenting has its ups and downs. It has its benefits, but the children seeing, just because mom and dad didn't work out doesn't mean I'm loved any less or that I have to
Mhm.
lack. So
Absolutely.
co-parenting is a very vital key to being a single mother, having a career, being a community advocate, being an entrepreneur. Co-parenting has been a tremendous help.
Good, good, good. So, in the midst of doing what you're doing as a community advocate, also being a single mother, you launched your consulting business. So, what
Yes.
was the push behind doing that?
So I originally started Divinely Created when I was in college. And it was
Mm.
more so not administrative, event planning. I
Okay.
would do it for extra money because I'm a single mother going to school. I need to pay for some. I want new shoes. So I launched Divinely Created then. And then I began working for a local nonprofit. I kind of put it down because now I was making real money. I didn't need
Didn't
the
need a
extra
side
money
hustle.
anymore. Mhm. But then I began working at a local nonprofit helping entrepreneurs, a chamber of commerce. And
Mhm.
that's where I begin to see the needs of entrepreneurs, not only entrepreneurs, but churches, especially
Mhm.
churches. We have churches that have never filed the appropriate paperwork. And so it was maybe about 3 years after college. I was talking to a good friend of mine who identified, this is your gift. Administration is your gift. I didn't know. Had no clue because it became natural. This is just who I am. But then I had to
Mhm.
realize it comes so natural to me because I'm gifted and called to do it. What I do
Mhm.
so freely in the back of my head while I'm asleep, someone else can't grasp that easy. So again, I begin to see the need for the administrative support. And so I relaunched Divinely Created to offer that administrative support, to help nonprofits get up and started, to help churches get in order, to look at their organizational infrastructure, how to make you more efficient. What are the things that you can do on the business side, not so much the ministry side, but more so the business side? Because a lot of times, like I said, we'll start the church. Church is so much more than Sunday mornings and Wednesday night Bible study. There's a
Mhm.
whole business aspect to the church to make sure you remain in compliance. So did that on, and also pulled on some of my political experience, running political campaigns for elected officials, and picked up a couple of campaigns helping to run those political campaigns as well.
Okay. Okay. You are a busy lady.
Very, very, extremely.
Yes, but I love when I see women that are multifaceted and allow themselves to be so, to know that it's more to us than just the career or just whatever someone else has identified the gift is. So to know that we give ourselves the freedom to be and do and try. So switching lanes with what else you do, you are also the administrator and executive pastor at
Yes,
your church.
absolutely.
So that, I guess, ministry came full circle for you that way.
Yes.
Was being an executive pastor an easy yes? Because many of us that are in ministry or have, accepted a license or any type of position, that yes does not always come so easy.
This is a transparent conversation, so absolutely not. I ran from it, and again, like I said, I'm feisty, so I've watched a lot of what my parents and grandparents went through, how people treated them, and
Mm.
I was not about to tolerate you talking crazy to me. I sure ain't finna tolerate you talking crazy to my daddy. Because my mama can handle her own, but you're not gonna talk crazy to my daddy. And you're not gonna talk crazy to me and think I'm just gonna smile and pray about it. No, sometimes you gotta do a prayer. So with my personality and the things that I had to learn and I'm
Mhm.
yet learning,
Mhm.
I did go kicking and screaming, God, this ain't what I want. This ain't what I want to do. I don't believe
Mhm.
that I'm called to this. I don't
Mhm.
want to be this. I'm big on titles. I don't like titles. Just call me
Mhm.
Tish. That's just where I don't need all the extra stuff. Just call me Tish. I'm here to serve. But
Mhm.
yeah, he got me. He got me. That's all he got me. And I love my church, Harvest
Mhm.
Connection Church in Fresno, California. I absolutely love my church, love the people that I serve, love it. It's an honor to serve. It's an
Mhm.
honor to serve. And even if I didn't have the title, and in fact, I did do the work before I got the title,
Mhm.
but it is a privilege and an honor to serve that God chose me to serve.
Mhm. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about ministry in and of itself, is that it really is a privilege to be able to um connect with the God and people through God allowing you to be the conduit through which they experience Him in whatever magnitude through. So it's a beautiful, it's the yes that we went to kicking and screaming, but the most rewarding yes probably that many of us will have. So as you are developing, of course, in ministry in your church, you also, outside of that, do minister to women on your own. And I think it often, for us as women, we have to come to a place where we see the victory in our own story sometimes before we're willing to share it. So what was the turning point for you that you were ready and willing to open your mouth about who you are so that you can then encourage and motivate other women?
I I was after I got divorced, really I went through a really rough time with my divorce. I found myself angry at the church. I found myself
Mm,
angry at God because I felt like you allow, even though we make decisions on our own, we get
mm,
ourselves into a mess. God, you still allowed some of this stuff that happened to me that I did not deserve. And not only that, you let the church folks drag me through the blood. And God, you know. If did nobody else know, God, you know the truth. So I found myself outside of church. Didn't go
mm.
to church. I was like, I'm not going back. God, I love you, but some of your kids, I just, I love you, but you know your kids a mess, Lord. And so I ended
Yes.
up going back to church. I was invited by my current pastor to come to church. Went to church, and in that relationship, I was in another relationship after that with somebody that didn't even believe in God. Like, I remember the first time we went to lunch and he said, Mother, Father, God, praying over our food. And I was like, wait, what? Who? Who you praying to? No, let me pray again because I don't need my food cursed. I need him to know, even though I don't go to church, I need to know that my food will cover. But that'll
By
tell
the
you
real one.
how,
Make sure
right.
it's covered by
Because I don't know who that mother is. You can keep that. But that that was because I was in such a broken place. That tells you how far off I was done with church.
Mm,
I was done. So again, like I said, was invited to service by my current pastor, went to church, and I realized how much I missed service, just the presence of God and being in fellowship with believers. I realized that. And within the first couple of months, because now I joined the church and he talking about you getting up to speak. Speak to who? About what? For what? Why? The Lord ain't
wow.
told you that. You need to go consult with him again. The Lord ain't told you that I needed to speak because I don't even like talking in public.
Oh,
I don't like talking in front of people. Just let me be the administrator or the secretary and put me at the back at the door so I can greet people. I don't want to do that public. I don't want to be up there. And he was like, "No, I heard from the Lord very clearly. You speaking on Sunday. I don't even know how to prepare a sermon, sir. You didn't hear from the Lord. I promise. You didn't." And he was like, "I did. So just be ready." And that, I wouldn't say launch because I did do one sermon a few years before. But that began to awaken something in me, gifts in me that I didn't know that were dormant. Um,
mm,
and about 2 years after that, I started going through something again, and I felt like I keep taking these losses over and over again. And God had to speak to me and say, they're not losses, they're lessons to put you in a position to win. So learn the lesson so that you can win. And from there was birth what I call Winning Wednesday. So every Wednesday, with the exception of yesterday, every Wednesday I do a motivational 2 to 3 minute message. Every now and then I'll go live and have a guest, but something to speak to women with real life experiences, real life, circumstances, issues to help you grow, to put you in a position to win. It's not a loss, but it's a lesson to help you win. And so that's where I begin to recognize, okay, here's another gift. God, you didn't just give me the gift of administration. You didn't just stop there. You got extra work for me to do. You couldn't get nobody else. Somebody else didn't need something to do.
yes. Yes. So, what have you found in working with women or encouraging women to um, embrace who they are, or even acknowledge that they are winning? What have you found is the biggest um, drawback, or the biggest thing that makes them apprehensive of even saying that I'm winning? Because I find that sometimes we are easy. We can rehearse our losses like like our favorite song. But
Mhm.
when we are asked how are we winning, we go mute. So what have you found to be the thing that keeps them from knowing that they are winning?
There are two things. Number one, a false sense of humility. Feeling like, no, I'm being humble, when no, you're not being humble. You're insecure. You don't want anyone to know that you're insecure, and putting it out there that I'm winning now draws attention to you. So, a false sense of humility, but also um, competition. I'm in
Mm,
constant competition. I don't want them to think that I took their idea. I said to my pastor the other day, there's no center shortage. So why is the church diminishing what we're doing? The centers aren't, there's no center shortage. Like there's so many people, but we don't want to do this because this person is doing this, or we don't want to do that. Same thing with women. Well, I don't want to open the business because I don't want to open the online boutique because there's so many other boutiques. But if that's what God has called you to do it.
mhm,
If God is
mhm,
giving you this gift, it's okay to
mhm,
say, this is who I am. If God has
mhm,
called you to be the solution to this problem, it's okay to say, I'm the solution because
mhm,
this is who God has graced me to be. But you cannot focus on what other people are going to think, what other people are going to say, how other people are going to feel. Girl, do you, be you, and walk in the grace that God and the gifts that God has given you. um yeah, walk in the grace that God has given you. You don't have to be, there is no competition. I'm not trying to compete with you. I'm not,
absolutely.
because we're both here to win. There's enough women out here for you to work with them and me to work with them. You can't do it all.
Mhm,
Just
mhm,
competition.
mhm. So to kind of bring both of the worlds or all of your world, I guess, into one question with what you see in the community and having your ear very active to things that are very much happening in our world, but also being very active in ministry and having children that are teens and getting ready to be young adults. How have you tailored your parenting to, of course, keep them spiritually guided, but letting them know the reality of some of the things that you see and experience?
If my oldest were to tell you, he says I'm harder on him than the others. The other two will say the youngest is the favorite, and I'm like, no, I just was able to. It was trial and error. I figured out where I went wrong on YouTube. I finally got, I'm getting it right. I'm still making mistakes, but I am learning to more listen to my children.
Mhm.
Learning to listen more. What are you thinking? Why did you come? How did you come to that conclusion? You made this mistake. Tell me what you were thinking to think that that was okay, or that that was right, that you were going to get away with this, or
Mhm.
even more, that I had to tell my son, he was 17 at the time, sir, I've been 17 twice. I know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing and what you, but they're living in a different dynamic. They're living in a different time. They're living in a different age. My son told me today, I don't want to go through another mental breakdown. And I had to look at him and say, when did you go through that? I didn't know you did that, but I can't diminish his
Mhm.
feelings and his experiences.
Absolutely.
So if
Yeah.
that's what you feel you went through, even though that may not be the reality, that's what you feel you went through. So how do we help you work through that
Yeah.
and still, kind of like my dad did, find that balance to where we're not in church all day, that
Mhm.
all you see is church over the weekends, but you actually have the opportunity to go hang with friends, go to
Mhm.
the movies, go to they go to parties, but they're not allowed to go to certain parties. Nuh-uh, no, I still check
Mhm.
friends, I still talk to parents. You still can't spend the night at nobody's house. Some of that stuff ain't gonna change, but it's okay to be a teen. It's okay to
Mhm.
be a kid. It's
Mhm.
okay to not want to go to church. My 8-year-old tells me all the time, I don't want to go to church today. Why we got to go to church today?
At 8?
At 8. He's gotten accustomed to leave. He don't want to leave the house at all. The
No.
pandemic didn't help. Why do we have to go to the grocery store? Because we don't have groceries, son. Well, can I just stay here by myself? No, you're 8. No, you can't stay home by yourself. So
Mm.
I've had to learn, even through my 8-year-old, how to compromise as a parent. It doesn't
Mm.
always have to be my way. No, you can't stay at home while I go to the grocery store, but you can stay at home while I go to the gas station up the street, which is only 3 minutes away. My parents are my neighbors. So, y'all, it's not child abuse. I'm not abandoning my children. My parents are my next door neighbors, literally. So yeah, you can stay here while I go get gas real quick, so we don't have to wake up extra early in the morning. So that's the compromise. But sometimes, we just gotta. This is black and white. And this is what we gotta do. So I'm learning as a parent to listen and compromise.
Yes, yes, that's good. Good tools, good tips. Listen and compromise. So, as we get ready to wrap up, you have an event coming up. I want to go ahead and bring that up so you can tell us about that.
Yes, Heart of Gold Women's Conference. If you are in Fresno, the Central Valley, if you're in California, I'm not even going to say Fresno. If you're in the Central Valley or in California, if you're not in California and you want to catch a flight, this is a day of empowerment. God gave me this conference during actually during one of my Winning Wednesday videos that ended up turning into a sermon that now is a conference. As women, we go through so much. We experience so much in life, not realizing that everything that we have gone through, every experience, every test, every trial, every heartbreak, every disappointment was all shaping us. So after we come out of the fire of the breakup, after we come out of the fire of the divorce, after we come out of the fire of betrayal, that our heart comes forth as pure gold. In every one of the situations you go through, God is purifying you and taking out some of the things, if you allow Him to, taking some of the things out of you that should not be, so that we look more like Him. So we are having the Heart of Gold Women's Conference Saturday, September 11th, and we are developing women holistically. We've got someone coming to tell you how to get your credit right, someone coming to tell you how to buy if you're a first time home buyer, want to buy an investment property, we got someone coming to tell you how to do that. We've got Pastor Reese Sky to help us to have a better heart. We've got Pastor Jessica Kreiner that will be talking about foster care and adoption. We've got Tamisa Johnson talking about being a victim of overcoming a victim's mentality. We've got LaTisha Senegal, who is the only Black-owned business incubator in the Central Valley, who is coming to help develop entrepreneurs. And our keynote speaker for the day is Pastor Siobhan Smith, all the way from New Jersey. So it is going to be a dynamic day. $35. It includes lunch. We will be socially distanced. We will wear our mask, but we're going to have a great time. It's not just another conference where we're going to have church, but we are going to leave better than we came.
Amazing, amazing. So, yes, yes, yes. If you are in or near California, or like she said, if you are available and feel the urge to catch a flight to go for only for $35 for the conference, it sounds like it's going to be amazing. So we will, of course, put your contact information up in just a minute where they can reach you and find out more about it if they are interested. So, with all that you do, that we've already discussed, what do you do for self care when you just need time for Tish?
I take naps. I take naps. I have mastered, I'm not mastered, I'm mastering the art of saying no. No, I
Mm-hmm,
can't do that. Nope, I don't have the capacity for that.
mm-hmm,
No, I'm not going to go here. Nope, I can't be on this today. Nope, can't. I'm learning to master no. No is a complete sentence. So I'm going to tell you no, and I'm going to go take
mm-hmm.
a nap.
Yes, 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 yes. There, a good nap is such a blessing. So
It, it
I
is.
can agree with you on that. So I'm going to go ahead before I ask you to share any words of motivation or encouragement to close us out. I'm going to go ahead and put your contact information up. Um, she is on Facebook. Her personal page, LaTisha Harris, correct? And
Yes.
your business page, Divinely Created. So guys, you can connect with her and or follow her on Facebook at either one of those pages, and IG at the LaTisha Nicole with a Y. So if you are on Instagram, your Winning Wednesdays, I know you do them on Instagram. Are they on both platforms, or you just do those on IG?
They're both on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, okay, good deal. So, whichever platform you use, you can follow her on either one of those platforms. So, if whatever's in your heart that you want to share with those that are watching, those that will watch in the replay, what would you like to say to motivate, encourage, inspire the audience that's listening?
Everything that you need to win, God has already placed on the inside of you. And whatever it is that He's not placed on the inside of you, He is going to send someone to be the help that you need, or He will send the tools at the time that you need them. But everything that God has placed on the inside of you is what it you already have it. You are destined to win. You thanks be unto God who always causes us to triumph. So even if you think that you're having a losing season, it's not a losing, it's not you're not losing, it's a lesson. Take the lesson, learn from it, and know that you're good enough, you're beautiful enough, you're called enough, you're gifted enough. You have everything that you need on the inside of you to win.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. That is a constant reminder that we all always need, because it doesn't even matter if we have experienced some wins. We need to know that even for the next thing that comes up, we are already equipped to win at that too. So
Yes.
thank you for that.
Yes.
Yes. Aunt Irma said good word.
Yes. Thank you, Auntie.
Yes, yes. Miko said amen. So thank
Yes.
you guys for tuning in, for watching. Again, if you are on the West Coast, anywhere near where you can go and support the Heart of Gold conference, or if you feel so led, maybe you want to sponsor a woman that's in the area that cannot afford to go on her own, please connect with LaTisha on any of her social media platforms, and I'm sure that you will be encouraged and inspired by who she continues to be, because she dropped some amazing nuggets on us tonight. So I'm so grateful to have been able to get to know you and spend some time with you. So thank you again,
Thank
LaTisha.
you for having me. It has been a privilege and an honor. Thank you for sharing your platform.
No problem. I'm going to ask you to hang out with me for a few moments. Good night, everyone. We will be back next week, same day, same time, another guest. So stay tuned for the announcements and our outro, and I'll see you next week. Would you like to join us behind the scenes of Women Who Win? We're building a team of amazing thought leaders to grow with us. Please send an inquiry email to info@simplytammy.com for more information. If you enjoy the conversations on Women Who Win, let's connect beyond this space. Join us in the Our Common Thread community, where we are celebrating our stories and having deeper conversations. Visit simplytammy.com/connect to subscribe to the community.